New York City now, where Donald Trump's civil fraud case wrapped up this afternoon with closing arguments heard from Trump's lawyers. As 680 Phil Martino tells us, the judge will now decide Trump's fate by the end of January. Donald Trump's defense team wrapped up its closing arguments in the civil fraud trial against
Excuse me. So I am headed to the mosque to pray, and there's going to be a short Islamic program after that. So we're going to sit through it, and we're going to watch and hear what the speaker has to say, and let's see how it goes. So the program is going to happen in here, and we have all this set up.
It's a burger. Is this something I'm going to Is it like 8 cents tomorrow?
Actually, no, it's not.
Can you look at like
North American was
What's the letter 50 cents tomorrow? What's the letter 30?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه آمين يا رب العالمين. أما بعد. When you kill off all of the young boys, all the young men from the Banu Israel, you start to lose the population, right? So he says, okay, fine, kill them 1 year and let them live another year. Alright, the brother of Musa alayhi salam, Harun, according to the narrations, he's born in the year when kids are allowed to live. When was Musa born? In the year that the boys were meant to be killed. Look, if he was born in the year when they were allowed to live, see, people could come along later on and say, of course, see, everything was in his favor. He happened to be born in the right year. That's why he got to grow up and overthrow Fir'aun. Allah wants to show people that when Allah wants to make something happen, despite the odds, not even against the odds, despite the odds, Allah will make it happen. And that's the question. What do we see as our limitation? Holding us back from whatever it is in life. Look in the Quran. Look in the Quran and watch how over and over again Allah shows, despite the odds, when Allah wants to make something happen, Allah makes it happen. Do you understand? Sometimes people are like, man, and that's why the believer never loses hope. Because even if all the means around them have failed, your means of God will never fail. For example, someone says, I'm too old. People use age as a reason to give up, right? I'm too old. I'm too old to do this, or to have these children, or to learn this. And over again in the Quran, what do we see? In the story of the prophets, people really old, Allah grants them what they ask for, despite the age. You think it's that I don't have the people around me. There are people who had no one. And when Allah wants to help them, Allah helps them. This is so key to study these lessons in the Quran. So, the Prophet, Musa a.s. is born in the year when the kids are meant to be killed. Now let's think about the mother of Musa a.s. Because the story goes forward to talk about the mother of Musa a.s. Imagine as a mother, you know that the children born this year are going to be killed. And now suddenly you're expecting a child. What's your greatest fear? What's your greatest fear? Is that the child born is a boy. Number one. Number two, your fear is that the police of Fir'aun will find out about the child. And subhanAllah, the child is born to the mother of Musa, and it's a boy. In that situation, what's your immediate reaction? What's your immediate response to that? What would you do? You're the mother. You have this child. And the police are looking everywhere for this child. It's not safe in your village, in your city, wherever you live, for this child. To save the child, what would you do? Send the child far away, right? Send the child far away to some distant land where Fir'aun's influence isn't present. Right? But then again, if that happened, then people would have an excuse. They would say, of course, Musa a.s. was able to overthrow Fir'aun. See, he grew up far away, gathered his strength, became a strong man, a warrior. He brought people with him, and he overthrew Fir'aun. Allah wants to show, no, it's not about the odds, and it's not about the means. He tells the mother of Musa, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضِعِيهِ. No. You keep him with you, and you feed him. You bring him up in your house. Ya Allah. But what happens when the police show up at my door? Like, I get it. I can keep him hidden. But when eventually people find out, the police find out, they show up at my door, then what do I do? Allah Ta'ala tells her, فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ. When you fear for your child's safety, then what do? What's your reaction? What would be your reaction? Okay, build like a cellar, Anne Frank, you know what I mean? Pretty much Anne Frank, like an attic or like a cellar down low, and then put the child in there and keep him there and like, just don't cry, man. You know, like that's not what he tells the mother. He tells her, man, subhanAllah, فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ. Put him in like a little box, and then put him in the river. Oh, dude. Really? That's what's gonna... SubhanAllah. That's such a profound lesson there. Let's pause with it. What's the fear when you put your child inside of that box in the river? Well, no one is drowning. Okay, fine. Let's say they don't drown. Animals eat them. Right. What else could happen? Sorry? They're found. And that ends up happening. They're found by Fir'aun's wife. As though Allah wants to say, look, right under your nose, despite all the odds, look what we were able to do. Look, what's another thing you could have done with that child? maybe find someone in your neighborhood and like give them, you know what I mean? Or the child could have kind of floated down the river, ended up at the house, the bank, at the house of a really nice family, right? Like people who would sympathize with Bani Israel. Imagine they picked up Musa, they took care of him. People would say what? Well, of course Musa was able to survive. He had this really good family discover him and bring him up. No. It wasn't even like the mother of Musa was told, give it to some messenger that could go and transport Musa somewhere. Literally put Musa into a river. Who controls the river? Allah. That's like that moment where Musa alayhi salam, where the mother of Musa, her tawakkul, her trust in God is being tested. And what's the fear? The fear is that if you give it up, will it ever come back? And that's a lesson I think we often ask ourselves here. How many of us have something in our lives? Let's be real, yo. It could be a haram relationship. It could be substance abuse. It could be a bad habit. It could be a sin that we need to give up. That we need to put into a box, put it in the river and give it over to God and say, that's it, I'm done with this. How many of us have something like that in our lives? And our greatest fear is, man, if I give this up, number one, what are the people around me going to say? What are they going to say about me? Number two, how am I going to enjoy life? What's my life going to be without them in my life? You understand? Another question we have is, if I give this person up, will they ever come back to me? You know, I've seen this happen many times. People meet each other, they're actually very interested in each other, they want to get married, but it's not time for marriage. For whatever reason, they're not able to get married in that moment. And then what? The question becomes, what do you do? Because they're told, hey, maybe after 2 years you can get married. What do you do for 2 years? Most people are like, man, I don't want to just cut off communication. Because what happens if after 2 years, I want to go back and get married and they've already moved on? What happens if what we have today is lost? But that's where our tawakkul and trust in God is tested. That's what we learn from the story. Is that just like the prophet Musa was returned to his mother, when she trusted in God, understand that when you give up something for the sake of God, Allah is not such that He will let it go to waste. He will bring it back into your life if it's good for you. And if not, He will give you what's better. Shaykh, I don't know. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, absolutely, man. You don't know. Absolutely. You're completely right. You don't know. God knows. And that's why He told you, give it up. You think He doesn't know the pain? You think He doesn't know how much that person means to you? You think He doesn't know any of that? Of course He knows it. But He knows what's best. That's what it means to trust God. You know, like people come to me. I've had people come to me and say, Shaykh, listen, man, I know you give all this trust and tawakkul kind of stuff, but like, I need to know how it's going to work out. Like, give me the steps. I said, buddy, listen, I can give you the steps, but if you know exactly how it's going to play out, where is the room to trust God? You only trust when you don't know something. And you want me to tell you everything, so that you have complete knowledge of the situation. Well, then how are you going to trust? That's part of the test of life. Is there's going to be those moments where you don't have any guarantee, you don't know how things will turn out, but you are asked to take a specific action. That is the moment where your faith is tested with trust. And yeah, man, there's going to be moments where you're going to cry because it's going to hurt. There's going to be moments where you're going to go through a rough patch, a low patch. Did you get it? Where people will turn on you. You will lose people in the process. The path of trusting God and receiving His help is not always a clean and neat and tidy path. Sometimes it's messy, man. Sometimes you go through days when everybody abandons you. The boys turn on you. Yeah? But that's what it means to trust God. And that's the challenge. And that's where you can begin to like appreciate the story. You're like, man, bro, I can't even give up this habit, this sin, this relationship. And here's a mother giving up her child physically into a box, into a river. Bismillah. Do you get what I'm saying? That's true. That's true trust. That's what we learned here. To receive the help of God, hand yourself over to God. That's the lesson here. And ultimately, Musa ﷺ is returned to his mother. We'll talk a little bit about what happens in between and how that relates to the Prophet ﷺ next week, inshallah. Alright guys, we'll stop here. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Alright folks, so gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to leave a review and tell me how the youth or mosque talk was. It's called a halaqah in like mosque lingo, and I want you to tell me how you found it. Like, was it interesting? Was it unique? Did it make any sense? Were there things that were completely actually didn't make any sense? And was there stuff that was questionable in it? And was it logical? Was it reasonable? Did it right? You get what I'm saying, right? So in the words of the speaker himself, you get what I'm saying, right? So did it and then on a second perspective, I want you to say, did it resonate with you, for example? And they want me to tag them in the video. Of course, I'm not gonna tag them in the video because they don't deserve to be tagged, and they didn't. So as I was saying, he spoke about Moses and Pharaoh, and he spoke about how that relates to us and how we should position ourselves like the children of Israel when they were oppressed, and how they were promised leadership even though they were so oppressed. We also are promised leadership because we're so oppressed, and things like that, things that he alluded to but didn't touch upon, and things like, if you want God's help, then give yourself away to God. Questionable or things that garner critique like that. I want you to post on the comment sections below what you think, and I really want you to be critical of this. And I'm not sure what the name of this speaker is, but the mosque is well known, and the message is like supported by the mosque. So if there's anything that you think needs to be improved, that is anything that you think you can suggest, then for sure say something. And yeah, personally, what do I think? Well, I don't comment on religious issues, so just maintain a dialogue here. Just like try to like just like say what you feel here, so we can speak to each other, you know. And yep, peace. Subscribe.